Today is an exciting day. Spring is here, and although it's not as warm and sunny as it has been the past couple days, it's getting warmer out. Spring is here, and it's almost time to get roots in the ground. So with that being said, today, as the title suggests, we're going to be building a raised bed and filling it with dank, living soil that I'm gonna be mixing and amending right here on the video to show you guys like the process of what I'm doing. And if you don't know what living soil is, once we get to mixing the soil, I'll take a minute to tell you about that and why it's, to me, more desirable than other soil options. But before we do all that, I got to build the raised bed. So I got all the wooden tools laid out right here at the house, and the garden location is a little ways away from here. So I'm gonna load everything into my car and bring it out to the garden location. And yeah, if you guys wanna stick with me and watch me build a raised bed and mix up some soil for this new growing year, it'd be my pleasure. So I'll see you guys out by the garden. So I'm out here in the garden, in the desired garden location, and I've got everything out here. And I want to mention that this video today, and this project that I'm doing rather, wouldn't be possible without the help of my grandfather and his magical rototilling abilities. Because that's what we're going to be doing, is we're going to be rototilling an area, a little patch out in this field. And that's what we're going to be building the raised bed above, so that the raised bed is also kind of in ground and they can kind of incorporate together the soil that I mix in the ground. So yeah, we're gonna be rototilling that little area. And another thing we're gonna be doing is, and if I haven't told you already, this is going to be a cannabis garden, but the idea with the raised bed is for me to be able to plant things in the future as well, and especially with the soil that I'm using, be able to reuse it and plant things in the future, no matter what it is. But we're gonna be rototilling the area for the raised bed, and I'm also gonna be rototilling another little patch, probably a bit longer, that I'm not going to mix up the soil as much. I'm gonna put some stuff in it, but that's more so just extra garden space so that I can put more plants in it this year rather than just the one that I'm doing in the raised bed, because I'm trying to grow a massive cannabis plant this year. Just one. But yeah, you can actually probably see him right out here. That's the man himself with his tractor, and he's on the way out with his rototiller to help me get this garden started. So I shall wait for him. Wait, what'd you say?
This land has not been tilled or farmed with a garden crop for about 75, 80 years.
Yeah, what he's saying is that this area we're at hasn't been tilled or farmed in like 75 years. So the reason he's telling me that is because we're gonna rototill the same area probably a couple times rather than just once to make sure that it's thoroughly tilled up. But you ready to rock and roll?
Ready to rock and roll.
So that's gonna be the raised bed area, and this is gonna be the extra garden area. Yeah, you're good. Now you can go over it a couple times if you want. What's that? Yeah, you can go if you want. He's like, another couple of feet. So yeah, I'm gonna rake that out so it's nice and flat, and that's what the raised bed is gonna be built on. And yeah, this is just gonna be an extra area for me to plant different things if I want. So yeah, you can come back over it.
How does that look?
I'd say that looks perfect, Papa.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the help.
Pretty straight line.
Yeah, you did a good job. It's almost like you've done this before.
Yeah.
So yeah, with it being kind of like uneven like that, I'm probably gonna rake it so it's flat.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much for the help, Papa. You can head back, and then once I'm done building the box,
Okay.
I'll have you come back out and help me if you don't mind.
Okay, you give me a holler.
Yeah, exactly. And we can just move that.
Do you need a rake? I didn't bring one.
I'll go back real quick and grab one.
Okay, I'll dig it out, leave it right on, leave it against the outside of the barn again.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll probably head back with my car. Yeah. Papa, thank you so much.
It'll take me longer to get there than it does you with the car.
Do you have any words of wisdom for the camera?
Oh, I think you're a super scientific man in your mind. You got everything planned out just the way it should be. And I think you're gonna have mighty good luck out here.
Thank you so much, Papa, and it means the world to me that we're doing this together.
9 feet at least.
9 feet at least. He knows what I'm growing. Thank you so much, Papa. So yeah, just to give you the rundown again real quick, this is gonna be where I do the raised bed. And these 4 boards right here are 5 feet 5 inches long each. And the reason it's that wide is because that's how wide my grandfather's rototiller is. So this is gonna be where we build the raised bed. And then, like I told you, this is just gonna be an extra gardening area if there's any other plants that I wanna put in the ground. But yeah, I forgot how kind of uneven it rototills. So I'm gonna go back to the farm real quick and grab a rake so that I can kind of rake it smooth and even, and then we're gonna get to building the box, which is gonna be the fun part. Dude, spring and summer is such a vibe. Like, I'm out here in my grandfather's land that he's owned for like 3 generations. It's summer is coming. I'm out here tilling up land that hasn't been tilled or farmed on, and like he said, at least 75 or 80 years. This is a vibe. This is surely a vibe. But yeah, I'm gonna go grab that rake and get back to work. So yeah, I don't know how well you can see it on the camera, but those tilled up areas are a little uneven. So I got my rake here, and I'm just gonna take a second to kind of rake it out and make it nice and even and pretty looking. So now that we got the beds kind of evened out, it's time to actually build the box for the raised bed. So you've probably seen it already, but it's these boards, these planks right here. They're 5 feet by 5 inches long, each of them, and I have 4 of them. And what I'm going to be doing is kind of like end to end evenly, and then putting them end to end, making sure they're square, you know, and then using lags to screw them together. And then we're gonna get all 4 of those pieces screwed together so it's nice and even and pretty looking. And then, since this thing is bigger than me, I'm gonna need my grandfather to help me out again, and we're gonna move it on to the area where the actual raised bed is gonna be. So ladies and gentlemen, there it is. This is the raised bed that we're gonna be using this year. As you can see, I just put it together, and it's not perfectly square, but it's a garden, you know. We're not engineers. I'm definitely not a carpenter, so I'm actually proud of what I got put together here. I'm quite proud of myself, to be frank. But yep, as you can see, it's a pretty big box, especially when you're gonna be doing just one plant. But hold on. But yeah, I think I mentioned it earlier, but in this box right here, you could easily fit like a shitload of different veggies and stuff in there. But the main motive and desire behind why I made this raised bed is because I want to grow literally the biggest cannabis plant I've ever grown. And that's part of the idea behind the big raised bed, only one plant in it. And that's the major idea in using living soil, which is just, we're almost there. We're almost to the soil part. I'm still making this bed. I got the next step actually is to take this and move it onto that little square plot right there. And then we can proceed with making sure that the raised bed is level and secure in place. And from that point on, it's time to make some soil. But yeah, I actually gotta get some help here because it's too big. I can't reach across it. I'm sure I could, you know, shimmy it across to its right position, but my grandfather's here and he loves to help me with this kind of stuff. So I'm gonna go get his attention real quick and he's gonna help me move this box right here onto the location where we're gonna have the raised bed. Yeah, absolutely. Ready? Yeah, that is heavy. Oh, I'm so glad I have to. Yep, you're all good. You can let it down a little bit unless that's more comfortable for you. It's more comfortable that way. There we go. Now I'll walk backwards. Let me keep walking back. Whoa. Yep, come on. And then, yeah, you're all good. You're all good.
My gloves got oil on them.
Yep, you're all good.
See? Slip right off.
Yeah. I think that's the move, Papa.
Wow.
Hey, thank you so much for the help,
Good.
Papa.
All right, looks good.
Whether you come back out here or I end up sending you some pictures, I'll definitely show you the final result.
Nice. Nice.
Yo, give me a hug. Thank you so much for the help, Papa.
Oh, you're welcome, big guy. Hey, it's interesting the way you put this together.
Yeah?
It's interesting. Same setup when you reverse the corners. I never thought that's how you do it.
You mean like outside. Yeah. I see what you're saying.
Good
Yeah,
thinking.
I had as I was doing it, I was kind of like, oh
Impressed.
shit, yeah.
I'm
You know what? That's what I said in my last cut. You know what? I'm not a carpenter, but I'm impressed with what I was able to put together here.
Absolutely.
It must have been all the couple years that I worked with Dad in the landscaping. But yeah, it's not completely square, but it's a garden. You know what I mean? It doesn't need to be pristine, perfect. You know?
Not be worried about frost and closing doors and putting the door frame.
Yeah, exactly. No, we're filling it with dirt and putting plants in it. That's what's gonna happen.
We'll probably settle that down a little bit anyway.
Yeah, exactly. We'll level it out. Yo,
All right.
thank you so much for the help, Papa.
I may be gone when you get up to the house.
Yep.
I've got a bunch of errands to do.
Yeah.
And just leave it to whoever's convenient for you.
Yeah, I'll find their home.
Well, just leave them in the barn floor altogether and I'll put them away.
Cool.
How's that work?
Yeah, that works perfect. Thank you so much for the help, Papa.
You're welcome.
Yeah, those little 2-footers are what I'll use to secure it in the corners.
And you're going to be driving those down the dirt?
Yep.
So they're not sharpened on the end?
That's okay. They should go down pretty easy. We'll see though.
You just got a saw out there. You could,
Yeah, at the lumber place I went to, they told me they offered to do that, but I was like, no, I think it'll be fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll leave you be.
Hey.
Have fun. You're having fun.
It is fun. Thank you so much for the help, Papa.
You're welcome. Anytime.
Go relax and sip some coffee.
I'm going to finish my game and then I'm going to take off.
Okay.
I go to Brunswick Eye Care. I got to go to CVS. I got to go to back to place up there in Savannah.
Yeah.
I'll be all over the place.
Enjoy your day, Papa. Thank you.
I'm not working in the wood pile this wind today. I need a day off.
Love you, Papa.
Love you too.
So there it is, folks. That is the position of the raised bed. So as you saw my grandfather pointing out in that last clip, these here are going to be the 2 foot, they're 2 feet long. They're going to be the corner pieces that I pound down into the ground right here. He might be right. It might not go in super easy, but we'll see what happens. I'll get it down as far as I can, and if need be, I'll cut it off at the top to be flush with the bed here. But the main reason for these corner pieces is to fix the box to the ground, to secure the box to the ground, so that, you know, like it just so it's kind of more unified and one with the ground, if you will, so that it has a nice holding position right where it is. But before I do that, before I put these corner pieces in, I'm gonna go around and I'm gonna kind of I'm gonna move some of the soil around on the inside just to make sure, maybe even take some out, just to make sure that I have as much volume in this box as I can for the living soil that I'm gonna mix up. So yeah, I'll move some of this around, maybe take some out. And also I got a level over here, and I'm gonna go around and put it on top of these boards and just kind of just beat it around a little bit to make sure it's as level and pretty as I can get it. So yeah, let's keep going. This is fun. So now that we've got the raised bed level enough for my liking, it's not completely level, but like I've been saying, it's a garden, it's good enough for me. Now is the fun part, where I'm gonna take these corner posts, as I was saying in the last few clips, and try to beat them into the ground until they are as flush as I can get with the top of the bed here. But let me remind you, like my grandfather said, this is land that hasn't been tilled or farmed on in 80 years, so we might find out that those posts, those corner posts, don't go into the ground as easily as I'm hoping. But it's an experiment, this is a project, so let's see how good that goes. So this step right here, putting these in, was the first step that didn't go as planned, but was kind of expected. Like we've said, this ground is really hard, and I had a feeling I wasn't gonna be able, because the idea was to beat these into the ground until they were flush with the raised bed. And clearly, as you saw in that last clip, that was a lot more easily imagined than doable. Now, it'd probably be a different story if these posts here had points on the end where it could actually pierce its way into the ground, but they're just blunt rectangles, so we couldn't get it all the way down, but that's okay, because you know why? Innovation is key. This is a big, heavy-ass raised bed. We're gonna be filling it with soil, so to be completely honest, I don't think it's gonna go anywhere. I think it's fine, especially with the little bit we were able to secure it with these posts. But wait and see what I'm gonna do with these in the end of working with the raised bed. I'll probably do it after I fill it with the soil and all that. But like I said, innovation is key. And as I was doing this and realized that I couldn't get it down all the way, I realized something else that I can use these for, and it will actually work beautifully. So the next step now is to screw these posts to the raised bed, or rather to screw the raised bed to these posts to secure it all together. So I'm gonna go around and just screw all these corner posts together, linking it up with the raised bed. So let's do that. I just gotta mention real quick, I work at a dispensary now. I basically just sit down and sell weed to people all day and talk about weed every day. So doing this labor intensive stuff, this physical labor, I used to work with my dad a couple years ago, and we did landscaping. We would make patios and build seawalls and rake out whole lawns and all that shit. And I can tell you, I do not miss that physical labor. But when a project like this that you're going to be able to utilize in the generations to come, it's so satisfying. It's so satisfying, and it's really fun, and it makes you feel so much more grateful when the project is complete and you were able to manifest the idea in your mind and kind of project it out into this 3D world. Because this has been an idea of mine for a while, and it's slowly coming together, and it just feels really good. But I don't miss the physical labor, I can tell you that. So there we have it. The box is built and safely secured into the ground. I don't think this thing's going anywhere. Got the corner posts all screwed in. So I think the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go around real quick and I'm gonna shovel out some of the insides and put it around the edges of the outsides, because you can see kind of how it's floating over there a little bit in certain places. So not only will taking some of the soil out of here and putting it on the sides get rid of those little gaps, but it will also give me more volume within the box to fill with the, as I keep calling it, dank living soil. Which, hold on, I'm really excited to get to the mixing of the soil. That's probably my most passionate part, is the blending of the soil and the creating of that living soil ecosystem, which, like I said, we will talk about once I get to it. But yeah, real quick, I'm just gonna shovel out some of the insides, pack it nice and neat around the edges, make sure there's no more gaps, and increase the volume that I can use for living soil that we're about to mix up. So if you're still here, thank you guys for watching. This has been really fun so far. Let's keep going at it. So we've got our box built. We got the corner posts in the ground and secured to the bed. We've dug out and flattened the inside of the box to give us as much volume as we can get. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to blend some soil. So there you have it. These are all the ingredients that I'm going to be using this year to make my living soil blend. And if you've been waiting for me for the part of the video where we're going to be mixing up the soil and maybe talking about what living soil is, that's what I'm going to do right now. So I don't want to be too exhaustive in how I describe it, but basically I kind of have this philosophy that, like, you know, living soil is kind of like what Earth is. Earth is living soil in a way. But the thing with Earth is that it can become deficient or overly toxic, too much, like a toxicity of different things. There can be parasites, or there can be, you know, negative bacteria and fungi that invade into the living soil of the Earth. And the idea of living soil, making your own living soil when you're making a garden, is you're trying to create your own sustainable ecosystem in the same way that Mother Nature, Gaia, does herself. But with with your helping hand, trying to keep those negative things out of the equation so that you have a fully thriving organic ecosystem. So maybe you do this, or maybe you don't, but there's a difference between having a medium of soil that your roots grow through and that medium doesn't have any sort of nutritional value to it, and you have to pour water that has the nutrients in the water through that medium. There's a difference between an inert medium that you have to give nutrients compared to living soil, which is what I'm going to be making today, which it's all packed into one equation. Everything it needs is right there, and you don't have to water using liquid or synthetic nutrients. You can top dress if you need to, but the goal with living soil is to just have to use water. Just water it, that's all. No added nutrients or anything, because in the mix that you made is everything that the plant could ever dream of having. So the thing with living soil is when it's all in these bags, it's not really living. It's not really a living soil. It's kind of dormant, I guess. I guess in the same way that you can think of a seed, how it lies dormant until it comes in contact with water and moisture. All these bags of stuff are just kind of neutral, dormant things. But it's when we mix it all together and then water it in and add that moisture that it all starts to come to life, and all the nematodes and protozoas and microbes, all that stuff starts to thrive and come to life, and it all becomes one living ecosystem. And I even thought of, I'm probably not going to do it in this video, but going to the store, and you could go to your nearest gas station and there are just packs of containers of worms waiting to be used as bait for fishing. I thought it would be a cool idea to go to the gas station, buy a shitload of those worms, maybe not a shitload, just some, and pour them into my raised bed here, pour them into the soil, to not only let them be free, but to let them do what they're meant to do, which is transform and catalyze the soil that they're consuming into a form of minerals and nutrients that the plant is able to absorb. So that's kind of the rundown of what living soil is. It's basically organic soil, and it's a thriving ecosystem that sustains itself. It's naturally sustaining. It can hold its own ground, and all the beneficial bugs and microbes and bacterias and fungi, all that stuff's working together to break down everything, basically like what Mother Nature is doing, breaking it all down into a highly bioavailable form that allows plants to absolutely thrive. And I just love the idea of that. I love the vibe of the natural, organic, no-till living soil. You're not using any synthetic nutrients and chemicals and stuff like that, and mixing up compost teas and stuff, which are fine, but I just kind of find myself leaning towards wanting a naturally sustaining soil. So there you have it. That's what that's my rough understanding of living soil. Of course, I'm not a soil scientist, but I've been growing cannabis and other things for a few years now, and have kind of dialed in on the style of growing that I like to do, that just sits best with me in my heart. So with that said, I think it's time to start mixing up this soil and getting it all together, and seeing how much we're gonna have, and seeing what it's gonna look like in its final form before we move it over into the raised bed. And of course, as I'm going, I'm gonna describe to you what I'm using, what ingredients I'm using, a little bit of why I'm using those ingredients, and kind of just telling you the ratios of what I'm using, so that if you want to follow this same method that I'm doing, it'll be easy and you'll know just what I used, how much of what I used I did. So yeah, let's get to mixing some soil. So the first thing I'm going to be using to mix up this living soil is these big bags of pro mix here. Now what this is gonna act as is more so just what you'd call a base soil, where this soil it doesn't have any sort of compost in it. It's not very highly nutritional. It's really just a base soil that when you're making a large amount of soil at once, this is a great way to get a lot of that bulk, to get a lot of the volume in that soil so that you don't, you know, have too hot or too, I guess you could say, powerful of a soil. This is a good way to get a lot of soil and to kind of spread out that the horsepower of the nutrients. So this is going to be the first thing that I lay out and kind of just mix around a little bit to see how much of it we have, and then we'll start adding in the other more highly nutritional ingredients. So let's get to mixing. So there's our base soil, and now that I'm seeing it, that's low-key a shitload, but we got that all laid out. The next thing we're gonna be adding is this Coast of Maine Castine Blend right here. You can even say it says organic raised bed mix. Now this stuff, in comparison to that stuff right here, this stuff is like straight up already low-key kind of living soil, where you can see ready to use. It's got all sorts of good stuff in it: compost, biochar, worm castings, poultry manure, kelp meal, lobster meal, mycorrhiza. It's got all the good stuff in it. So this is kind of gonna be a little bit of the horsepower to the soil, as I called it in the last clip. While that's kind of more just a medium, a bulk, this is gonna start to add some of the life to it. So that's gonna be the next thing we add in here. So let's get to that. You can just see how much more broken down and nutrient rich this Castine blend from Coast of Maine is compared to just the base soil here. But I also wanted to mention real quick the ratios of what I'm using. So the first stuff you saw me lay out, that's my bulk soil. That makes up 63% of this blend. And what you just saw me put in here, the Coast of Maine soil, that makes up about 22% of the blend. And then you can see over here, these other two ingredients that I have are organic rice hulls, and then under here is worm castings. So the rice hulls make up about 10% of the mix here, and the worm castings make up the remaining 5% of the blend. So I just wanted to tell you that real quick. I can also show you the little spreadsheet thing I have that I did all the math and equated everything out on. But yeah, I just wanted to let you know like the ratios of what's going on here. So yeah, let's keep blending. So what you just saw me adding here are a shitload of dried organic rice hulls. Now this is what I'm using as a alternative to perlite. Perlite are it's this stuff right here. It's these tiny little white things that generally act, honestly, really well as a aeration, and allows moisture and air to move through the soil a lot more efficiently. But I've heard that perlite isn't that sustainably harvested, and it's kind of a little sus how they get it. But rice hulls, on the other hand, kind of act as the same, they have the same effect on the soil, but not only that, but they can break down. It's plant material. It's perlite isn't plant material. Perlite is actually coal that's like superheated and it puffs up like popcorn. But rice hulls here, they're natural, and not only do they serve the same purpose as perlite, but over time they will also break down into the soil and just further add to the effect of the organic matter within the soil, and just that thriving, decomposing vibe, if you know what I mean. So yeah, the rice hulls here make up about 10% of the mix, And another thing I want to mention is you can see I still have 2 bags of rice hulls over here. That's because once we got all the soil mixed up and in the box over here, I'm going to be using the rice hulls as a mulch layer to cover the top of the soil. And I'll talk about that in a little while, but that's going to help with the actual coming to life of the soil. But it's kind of blowing in the wind here, so I got to keep moving. Next thing we're going to add is the worm castings here. That's going to be really pretty, nice and dark. Beautiful dark rice worm castings here. They call this stuff black gold. It's because it's literally the powerhouse of the soil. This is basically the excretions of worms, and that's what they poop out. That's what they leave behind in soil when they're thriving in an environment. But yep, that's basically all the stuff right there aside from our dry amendments. And I think just real quick, I'm gonna kind of give it a mix up so the rice hulls don't keep blowing around, and just to kind of get it generally mixed up. And then I'm gonna go over the dry amendments that I'm gonna be using and kind of what those each serve in the living soil. So let's do that. So this right here, these 5 different ingredients are going to be my dry amendments that I'm using. This is going to be a lot of the source of the nutrition and the different nutrients that are going to break down over time and become bioavailable to the plants throughout the soil. But mainly what I'm using here is, these are Down to Earth fertilizers. Down to Earth is a company based out of Oregon that I discovered a few years ago through another grower that uses living soil and just praises this stuff right here. But it's really, really cool stuff, all completely organic. And like I've been saying, I'm not a soil scientist, but I know that NPK, which is these 3 things here, NPK, are the crucial things that are needed for a plant to thrive. And here I have my nitrogen, here I have my potassium, and here I have my, it's nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. That's the NPK. Yeah, as you can see, I'm not even too sure what those things are, but I know that these 3 things have 3 different values of nutrients that the plant needs to survive. So each one is representing the N, the P, and the K, and that's feather meal, bone meal, and langbonite. Feather meal is ground up dried feathers. Bone meal is ground up dried bone. And langbonite is a naturally mined mineral that I think comes from like potassium ore or something like that. I'm not too sure on that. And these 2 things over here, these things I'm not going to be exactly measuring out the amount because it doesn't really show me a translation of how much I would use in the cubic feet. But this stuff here is biochar, and this is based on, I really like this stuff. Basically what it is a it's wood material that's been slightly, it's been burnt to the degree that it becomes like a char, like kind of like a sort of charcoal type vibe. But it never saw fire. It was just put under heat and allowed to turn into a sort of coal. And that's ground up wood that's burnt. And this stuff is actually based off of terra preta, which is an Amazonian soil that has been used in Amazonian farming for thousands of years. And it's a really, basically the Amazonians discovered that if they scorched the top of their crop at the end of the year, it allowed things to become a lot more alive and beneficial throughout the next growing seasons. And that's what this is based off of, is that Amazonian terra preta, which actually happens to be some of the most fertile soil in the world, in the Amazon rainforest. And this stuff here, this stuff's my baby. This is mycorrhizae, or as it's also called, mycorrhizal inoculum. This is basically a sort of fungi that grows mycelium and it has a symbiotic relationship with the roots of different plants. Meaning what it does is when this stuff contacts the roots of plants, it grows mycelium off of the roots of the plant and essentially acts as like extensions of the plant's roots. And the mycorrhizae feeds off of stuff that the plant gives it, and the plant feeds off of, in turn, stuff that the mycorrhizal, the mycelium is able to absorb into itself. So it's a really nice thing to add to the garden. But that's what we're going to be doing right now. I'll probably time lapse it for you guys. I'm just going to be adding some feather meal, bone meal, langbonite, and these two things here. I'm pretty sure, and just to tell you like the ratios, the amount of stuff I'm using. The feather meal and bone meal here, I'm going to be using 17 cups in the total soil that I'm making. This here, I'm going to be using about 6 cups, the langbonite. And these two things here, I'm kind of just going to eyeball it. I'm just going to kind of feel it out of how much I want to put in, probably like a few cups of this biochar here, and just sort of sprinkle around the mycos throughout it. But yeah, that's close to the last step of what we're going to be doing today, so let's keep on going. So we've got our base mix, we've got the coast of Maine soil with the compost in there, we've got our rice hulls in there, got the worm castings in there, got the feather meal, bone meal, and langbonite, got the biochar and mycorrhizae all through there. Got everything laid out right here. And now the fun part is to go through and thoroughly mix up every single bit and not leave a single area unmixed. So let's get to mixing. Wow. So we got it all mixed up right out there. I'm just taking a second to, you know, breathe. It's a lot of work, honestly, it really is. It's probably a big reason why people would rather just like buy weed from a store or buy vegetables from a store, not even necessarily weed. But yeah, it's a lot of work to establish your own garden, and not only establish your own garden, but have a successful garden, which requires, you know, just a little bit of knowledge as to what plants are looking for and how to care for plants. And in this case, what is good and efficient and necessary in making a soil for your garden. But yeah, honestly, that was the bulk of the hard part right there, was building the box, getting all the soil laid out in those funny clips you saw me doing earlier, getting all the amendments laid out, and then mixing it all up. So we have gone past the curve, and we are now going into the more easy parts, slowly starting to bring it all together. It's definitely coming together, but we still got a few more steps to make it, like I said, to fully manifest that idea, that vision in my mind. But yeah, I'm just taking a second to chill, breathe, enjoy the weather, the fact that I can be out here in my t-shirt, the fact that the earth is warming up and it's almost growing season again. I'm really excited for this summer. I'm not one to like make shitloads of plans and stuff like that, but I said, you know what, I think this summer I want to just like be packed to the brim with shit to do, you know? And this was one of the things that I had in mind of, let's build a big ass raised bed and fill it with dank living soil. And I can tell you right now, this isn't cheap. You know, with the soil and the wood and all that combined, I probably spent $400 or so, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. It was probably around that ballpark of $400 for all the soil and all the wood supplies and all that stuff. But it's so worth it, especially when I realized that this garden is going to be able to be used consistently every single grow year without having to do what I'm doing right now, which is the major work that has to be done when you're establishing a garden. But yeah, the next step is to basically transfer all that soil over there into the raised bed. And I'm gonna be doing that with a big old snow shovel so that I can get more soil in each scoop rather than doing thousands of little spadefuls, you know? But yep, that's what we're about to do. I'm just taking a second to chill. And if you're still watching, thank you for sticking around. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video and going along with me through doing this project. I hope it's inspired you to get outside and, you know, get in the garden, get your hands in the soil, you know. It's so beautiful to, when you grow plants, regardless of what it is, when you grow plants, you're literally, I realized this one a while ago, you're raising a kingdom of life. In a way, you're a parent. You're like a parent where, you know, usually parents will raise children. In this case, you're raising the plant kingdom rather than the animal kingdom. You're nurturing and caring for the plant kingdom. And when you have a garden and you give it love and you give it care and you give it what it wants and you just be there for it, it returns to you tenfold. It returns so much to you in return. And it just makes all the hard work, all the sweating, all the money, all the mistakes, it makes it all worth it. It makes it all worth it because it's just a cycle. It's just a cycle of giving and receiving, and it's a cycle that I love to be a part of. So yeah, let's get to moving that soil over into its final home. Before I get to moving it into the raised bed, let's just take a second to look at this beautiful loamy soil. So nice. Hell yeah, man. You can see how everything's kind of evenly dispersed through. You can see the rice hulls, the perlite. I can smell all the amendments that I used. Fuck yeah. All right. Let's take this soil and move it into that bed. I actually forgot to mention that before I moved the soil into the raised bed, I wanted to give this ground soil here a little bit of amendments, but I ended up using a lot more of the amendments in that soil than I thought I was going to. So I'm just gonna take what I have left of the feather meal and stuff. Got that. And then the couple handfuls of mycorrhizae, can't hurt. Just get a little bit of that in there. So now we got that, and honestly I can probably go through and mix it, hand mix it real quick just so it's not right on the surface. But yeah, just get a little bit of amendments in there just so it's not completely dry of new amendments once the roots reach down through into that area. So there we go. Just a little bit of leftover soil, probably like not even 3 cubic feet worth. So I guess my math was pretty accurate. I wanted to be like 2 or 3 inches or so below the top of the boards there, because there still are a couple more steps that I have to do over there. Remember, I said it earlier, I'm going to be using rice hulls on the top here as a mulch. But before doing that, I'm going to move this soil, which is the leftover soil. I'm going to move that over into this garden and kind of disperse it as best as I can so that we use every little bit of the soil that I amended here. And then I'm probably going to go grab a bunch of different 5-gallon buckets full of water. And once I got that back out here, I'm going to lay out the rice hulls, which will actually make this bed really pop. The contrast of the really white tan rice hulls with everything else will look really pretty. But yeah, I'm gonna lay out the rice hulls, and then I'm just gonna start putting the water right to it, because that's the main thing that really gets the that makes all these things we just mixed together. That's what pouring water into it and getting it all moist, that's what really brings the biology to life and makes all those microbes and all that stuff that's dormant and dry, it makes it just come to life, and everything starts to come alive and grow and wake up, you know. So we'll get the rice hulls down, then we'll put a shitload of water to it, and then that's it, guys. That's really the last step. After we water and put down that mulch layer, that's the last step, aside from cleaning up. And also, if you remember earlier, I told you I had an idea with what I was going to use these. The one thing that didn't go as planned, where I couldn't beat those down all the way, I'm actually going to utilize that to my advantage. So if you want to stick around to see what my idea for that is, please do. But yeah, I'm going to move that soil into that bed over there, and then I'm going to go get a bunch of buckets full of water and finish this project up. This has been a full day project, and it's been really fun. Tiring, but a lot of fun. I can tell you that. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm really excited to see what this raised bed will do. But yeah, let's keep going. We're almost there. So I've got about 30 gallons of water here. I'm gonna take those rice hulls and evenly spread them across the top of the bed here, and then I will pour all this water in. So yeah, let's finish up this raised bed. So there you have it, guys. Got our raised bed, filled it right up with some dank living soil, as I've kind of coined it throughout this video. And we just got it covered with our mulch layer. I'm probably gonna go grab some more water, but honestly, I'm not gonna include that in the video. I feel like you guys get the vibe of it, but I do wanna say the watering, like the thorough watering at the very beginning of making this blend of living soil is very important in terms of getting it, waking up all that microbiology and getting it to really come to life and getting all the fungus to grow and stuff like that. So I'm probably gonna go and grab some more water, because 30 gallons wasn't even enough to, at least to my satisfaction, to thoroughly soak the soil that I've made here. But yeah, this is basically it. Now what we do is we leave it alone. Aside from me going and getting a little bit more water, we're gonna leave the soil alone and let it do what's known as cook. The cooking process of your soil, which is what I've been talking about throughout this whole video of the microbiology coming to life. It takes a little while. It's good to give your soil about a month or so to do what's called cook. Giving it a month to wake up and come to life and let those let all the microbes and all that stuff start doing their thing and realizing that they're a part of an environment. So that's what we're gonna do. We're not gonna plant directly into this. It's not even quite the right time to put plants in the ground, at least cannabis plants. So it was a good idea for me to do this today because I'm gonna give it at least 2-3 weeks, maybe even a month to cook and prepare. And also a little fun fact, the reason it's called cooking is because if you put your plants in a blend of soil that's in the process of cooking, it burns the plants. Because literally when you make this blend and wet it down, the temperature, it literally heats up in the soil. So if you put plants into soil, strong soil that's cooking, you can literally burn your plants. So you want to give it a little cool down time, literally a cool down time for it to come to life and be all powerful, and then chill for a minute. And then that's the time that you want to put your plants into that soil that you mixed up. So yeah, that's really it, guys. But there is one other thing I want to show you real quick, which was how we were going to innovate not being able to push these corner posts all the way down to the bed. So I'm going to show you that real quick. So if you know what growing cannabis plants is like, you know that when they get a relatively big size, they can start to lean around, and they can actually get so big that they break themselves and can like fall apart and branches snap and stuff. So when you grow big plants, you need to have support systems of some sort. So I thought to myself, when I was pounding these in and realized that they weren't gonna go as deep as I thought they were going to go easily, and that I'd have to leave them sticking out like this, I thought to myself, what if I take these posts here and pound them into the sides and then screw them in to these corner posts? And if my plant does get big enough, I can attach trellis or netting or any sort of support that I need to keep the plant from falling apart. So this is gonna be a completely like spur of the moment type thing, a little experiment. I don't know how it's gonna go, but I feel like it might go kind of smooth. So yeah, I'm gonna beat these with the hammer into the corners here, and then screw them to these corner posts. And then if my plant gets big enough, I can have these to wrap trellis or chicken wire around or whatever it may be. So yeah, if you want to stick around for this innovative moment to see how it goes, please do. I think that's a wrap, guys. What a fun time. What an awesome experiment. Literally had an idea a few weeks ago, started preparing and getting materials for it, didn't know if it was worth it or if it was gonna work out or if I even, could do it. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna build a raised bed and try to grow a massive cannabis plant. So aside from the massive cannabis plant part, we have the raised bed. These stakes here will be able to, you can put like a trellis around, or you can, if it gets even taller, you can put some sort of like rebar, like a bar up that can go even higher. But yeah, this is the first time I've ever built a raised bed. And I'm under the impression that it has some deliciously dank soil in there that's gonna just be just what cannabis is looking for, honestly. I'm really excited. If you guys watch this video and watch me along the way of putting this thing together from first thing this morning and having my grandfather out here helping me with all the rototilling and moving the box and stuff, thank you guys so much. This has really been fun. And I bet you I won't be able to resist giving you updates of once I have a plan in here. So there probably will be cannabis related garden videos throughout this summer as well. But yeah, dude, I'm hyped. That's really awesome. GG's, bro. So yeah, I am probably gonna go, I'm not gonna show you guys, this will be the last clip, but I'm gonna go get some more water so that I can be satisfied that I thoroughly wet all that new soil down. Then I'm probably gonna go inside, take a shower, and then probably take a nap. This has been such a fun time doing this. I'm so excited for the onset of this summer. It's really nice. And if you guys sticked around this whole time, thank you so much. If you're a little green thumb and you have a desire to get out in the garden and do stuff, but you've, you know, messed up a couple times or just haven't done it in a while, whatever it is, dude, it's so worth it. Gardening is so fun. It's such a return, you know, you're working with nature. I kind of described this a while ago, but it's just such a vibe. So yeah, thank you guys for watching so much. I will give you updates of this as the season progresses. But yeah, I'll see you guys. Thank you so much for watching.